really have a right to be treated respectfully.
We are unfortunately running out of time, but Peter, I just want to get one final thought from you. Are there words that are used to describe men that offend you?
Not particularly, and if there are some I don't like, I certainly wouldn't want them banned. But it always goes back to that old adage: sticks and stones may break my bones, but there will always be something to offend a feminist.
Peter Lloyd.
No, that's just obnoxious.
Peter
Sorry,
Lloyd,
you have to give me a chance
we'll
to
let you
respond.
carry on.
That is ridiculous. No, hang on, I won't do your show again if you don't let me respond
Go on,
to that.
Kate, have a word.
Come on, that's ridiculous. I mean, first of all, to allow somebody on there.
You're holding it for me.
Hello.
Being a fat, ugly dyke, mostly dyke, I am teaching psychology of gender this summer. And number one, will you be a guest speaker?
So you don't care about your future earnings, got it?
Exactly. Well, I'm a dyke, so I don't really care about how I look or what I eat or anything either. But anyway, number one, will you be a guest speaker?
I would have laughed if you'd slowed down so I could hear you.
Thank you. I know, I talk really fast. My students tell me that too.
It's from all that gobbling.
Will you be a guest speaker for me?
Sorry?
Will you be a guest speaker
A guest
for me?
speaker for you? Mm-hmm. For what subject? For when?
Psychology of gender. It's gender, it's all gender. It's not just women.
I'd be very happy to. Yeah, sure. We can come and speak
That'd be
afterwards,
awesome.
of course.
Even if we have to Skype you in or something.
Say again?
And then my second question was, I already know that I should be populating my material with factual feminist and whiteboard material. What is the single assignment that I could give my students that will really challenge them in terms of their thinking around gender, and what, basically, the assignment that you would give a student if you were designing a gender course?
Oh, yeah. The assignment I would give them is debunk the 5 most heinous feminist myths and see what they come up with. Most of them the first 2 will be obvious. After that, let's see what they come up with. Because the majority of what is taught in gender studies courses and women's studies courses is awful rot. But for my own personal edification, I would ask them to debunk 5 feminist myths and see what they come back with. You may discover some students horrified by the mere suggestion of the assignment. How dare you suggest that anything a feminist ever says might not be entirely accurate? Oh, that will tell its own story. So that's the assignment I would set. All right, thanks very much. Thank you. You'll be happier with a boyfriend, darling. You would. Yeah, I know, but because, look, on a serious point, there aren't really any lesbians. I'm not attacking you, so you seem lovely, but this is something that people don't really understand about sexuality. You know, men have been exclusively sleeping with men for the majority of their lives since 2000 BC. Juvenal and Tacitus are very clear on this. Female sexuality, as we know from all studies that have ever been conducted on this subject, is much more malleable, it's much more flexible. Women who sleep with women tend to have had relationships with men as well. So the old jokes about just needing a good dicking or she's just come out of a bad relationship do tend to be broadly accurate. There is a reason why things become cliches, because they're mostly true. I don't entirely believe in lesbians. There are, of course, a tiny proportion of, the dungaree-wearing types, with the short haircuts, your gender studies professors, who probably will never see a penis. More out of lack of options than preference, but... Well, this is this thing about asexuality. I'm asexual. No, nobody wants to fuck you. Good Lord. No, I mean... For most women, lesbianism is a sort of reaction, it's a response. And this research is not done very often because it's so politically incorrect. But broadly speaking, I just don't really believe in lesbians. And certainly the lesbian domestic violence epidemic, which is something you don't hear very much about, but which is a huge problem that affects lesbian households. The lesbian obesity crisis, which last year the federal government had spent $3 million investigating to try to work out why dykes are also fat. It's money that could have gone to, I don't know, pride floats for us or something. You really want to waste money on LGBTQIA, PRS, ampersand, exclamation mark. They just buy me more Gucci. Don't waste money on working out why they can't stop eating. This is why we hate each other. And what was the other one? There's something else. Oh, it's the obesity crisis. There's bed death is its own issue. There's something else as well. Domestic violence, obesity crisis. Oh, and earnings as well. There's reason to suppose, depending on how you do the numbers, if you do the numbers, like if you do by household, lesbians earn about the same as everybody else, but if you do it by individuals, they earn way less. So if you're a woman and you decide to pick a lesbian lifestyle, you're much more likely to get hit, get incarcerated, get fat, and get poor. And you're probably going to be really unhappy, so don't do it.
Last question.
Which is what white people are. They're fucking aliens. They're fucking parasites.
But let me say this, black people cannot be racist.
They're fucking soulless monsters.
So I can be a Chinese woman.
You sure.
But I can't be a 6'5" Chinese woman.
Yes.
Talking to us like children!
There I was thinking it was just me that had a problem, but it turns out it's the air conditioning that's sexist.
I know. So many women in our office have the exact same problem. You know, we just sit there absolutely freezing at our desks trying to type. You can probably tell I've got a cold right now, which I blame all on the AC. And so it's just so actually quite nice to see this research. It's just such a relief to know that there's actually proof that this is happening, that women, you know, do feel the cold more than men, and that the AC in offices is normally regulated more for a male's temperature than a woman's. One of the biggest problems is that often in offices it is men who control temperatures. You know, that's just something I've found anecdotally. And because majority of the men in offices seem to be absolutely fine with the temperatures, you know, women kind of just sit there on the corner feeling absolutely frozen, and, you know, often, like, actually nothing's being done to help them. And, you know, it might sound like a bit of a silly, light-hearted issue, but actually it's really uncomfortable being freezing at your desk every day. Take it from me.
I'd be a lot freer if people like you were put in prison as retaliation for the collective crime of racism, anti-Semitism, misogyny, and homophobia. All you fucking God-botherers are war criminals and liars and charlatans. Atheism forever!
Is this a lesbian tryout?
No, this is real. I'm throwing back everything you dirty Goyim have thrown back at us. Hitler was a Christian. He killed Jews because his non-existent God told him to. Hitler was a practicing Catholic. Now I even found on the internet a picture of a Nazi swastika. It was made by the Nazis, and it had a cross on it. It said, "God is with us," in German. Yeah, so don't give me that crap about Nazi. You know what? Atheism is apolitical. Stalin was an atheist, but you know who else was an atheist? Ayn Rand. So atheism has got nothing to do with politics, but only about the facts. And the fact is, you look up in the sky, and you know what you see? Sky, clouds, and the sun.
What we are saying is move the hell over. Other people deserve that platform. Other people who are not white, who are not men, and who are not of the people that you call privileged. Yeah, go for it.
Is it not true that to have a different opinion isn't the same as telling other people that they shouldn't have or they can't have an opinion?
Smoke weed every day.
Sexist.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No.
Feminists are sexist.
All feminists are sexist.
All women are sexist. All women are sexist. All women are sexist.
The cure to our westernized kind of idea that it's okay to catcall at women and that sort of thing.
What is the solution in your opinion?
What is the solution to catcalling? Certainly not walking around in my underwear.
You're fucking a white male! Yes!
I have heart failure. I don't wear deodorant. I love Satan.
Fuck out of here! And get that camera out of my face! You need to get out!
Shut the fuck up!
How many did I adopt? I kill my kids.
Yeah, I still pay to kill babies, though. Really? Oh, yeah.
So go do some research, come back with some quotes, okay? You don't know.
I'm triggered.
I fucking love Satan, so f*** you.
Oh, I'm a racist. There you go. That's a new one. Where'd you learn that one in Social Human Studies 101? You're not fighting for free speech. You're not fighting for rights. You're fighting for the right to be a pussy and not hear opinions that you don't like.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
The gender pay gap is one of the most persistent falsehoods of our time. In fact, when you control for the different choices that women make, the gap between what men are paid and what women are paid narrows to almost zero. Some men's rights advocates even suggest that men should be paid more because their lives are more difficult, more expensive, and more dangerous. Well, not mine, obviously. After all, perhaps men need the help. They're falling behind at school, university, and in the workplace. Women in their 30s get paid more for the same work than men in both the UK and the US. And men are finding it more difficult to even apply for jobs in the first place, especially in science. Men pay more at every stage of a relationship, from that first date right the way through to divorce. And the jobs they work are more tedious, menial, dangerous, and dirty. Plus, men pay more for education and even insurance. When they're arrested, men are much more likely to be convicted, and if they are convicted, they get longer sentences for the same crimes as women. Plus, 95% of all frontline casualties are men. The fact is, men work harder. We work longer hours on average, we make more money for our firms on average, and we take shorter holidays, even when you account for babies. And finally, women prefer it. They prefer a more balanced life, and they're thrilled when they find a man who can provide for them and enable them to spend more time at home or with the kids. So should we pay women less? You have to admit, the arguments are intriguing.